Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Hampton, and I get to serve you as the Senior Coordinator of Parent and Family Services. And we are welcoming you to our first Tiger Talk for the spring 2024 semester. We have some wonderful guests joining us today. But before we start, I want to remind everyone to please mute your microphone. And also, if you have questions as we proceed through this session, feel free to type them in the chat and we will try to get your questions addressed as quickly as possible. Again, we thank you for being here and we will go on and introduce our staff and our guests. So I'll let Kate introduce himself.
Alrighty, hello everyone. My name is Kate Forbes and I am the coordinator of Parent and Family Services, and I'm really excited for y'all to be here today.
And now for our special guests that we have from Financial Aid and Scholarships, I'll let them introduce themselves and then we have a fun question we want to ask them.
Hello, my name is Lofton Wilborn. I'm the Associate Director of Scholarships and Financial Aid.
Hi there, I'm Emily Stovall, and I am the coordinator for financial aid and scholarship outreach.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this fun question here. If you all could choose anywhere in the world to travel, where would you go and why would you go there? Let's see. Let's go with Lofton first, and we'll do Emily.
Oh, wow, good question. I think just initially I would probably say Australia because I haven't been and it's a totally different hemisphere. And I would probably target going there in the winter when it's winter in the States because it's summer there. So a nice little getaway somewhere totally different.
That sounds fun. Australia, heat.
I think I'd like to go to Switzerland and then travel up to Holland, Norway, just to see that part of the country, see the tulips, windmills of Holland. The pictures look really nice.
And those large mountains and hills and things. That's nice. I think if I would travel somewhere, I want to go to somewhere like Dubai. It looks fun and snazzy, so. What about you, Kate?
Um, Let me think. I would probably have to say, honestly, anywhere tropical, but I've never been to Hawaii, even. So I'd love to go to Hawaii just to say I've been to Hawaii.
Hawaii is nice, I heard. Never been either. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started with the questions. Parents and family members have submitted a bunch of questions surrounding the topics of scholarships, financial aid, and the new FAFSA application that is out now. So the first question that we've gotten from families is, what changes can I expect in the new FAFSA and what's going to stay the same?
I'll take this one. So that's a great question. We've heard a lot of buzz about the new FAFSA this year. And essentially, the new FAFSA is going to include some new terms like contributor, which is the student and any adult that contributes to their financial circumstances, and their information is listed on the FAFSA. You're also going to hear the direct data exchange, which refers to the way the IRS transfers your tax information into the FAFSA form with your consent. That's an essential part of that. And the consent basically allows the data exchange to happen. Now, if you do not give consent, then you're not eligible for federal financial aid. There are also some new questions added to better determine a student's eligibility for financial aid.
So some pretty significant changes there with the
There's
terminology. Yeah.
there's a lot that's going to stay the same too. So we're
Okay.
still going to need the student's basic information, name, birth date, social security number if applicable, parent information, things like that. Questions about your income, tax information, of course. So a lot is staying the same.
Okay, thank you for that.
Awesome. Alrighty. So another question we got was, what is the university's FAFSA and aid award timeline?
So the university's FAFSA award timeline is somewhat delayed due to the whole entire process change with the whole FAFSA simplification. So essentially students and families are able to submit the FAFSA now. And That's going to be an ongoing process, but the university won't actually receive that information, that financial information, all that demographic information until about late March, going into April. So our packages, especially for first-time freshmen, are going to be delayed this year, and they should expect to receive them about mid-April. So that's going to be an ongoing process, but we're going to communicate to families and students as we kind of navigate this to make sure we stay engaged and to make sure they stay abreast of any kind of changes.
Awesome. Thank you.
So another parent wants to know what specific information is needed to complete the FAFSA. And I know, Emily, you kind of touched on a little bit of things that that are familiar that they'll need. So is there anything else, like any documents and things that they'll need?
Sure. So I'll start with the first piece is your FSA ID, which is essentially your username and password to access your FAFSA form. So you'll need that. If you haven't created one, that's a great first step. You'll need your basic information, like I mentioned earlier, and you'll need some financial information as well about your current checking, savings, or other asset amounts, relevant tax information, and that's pretty much it. And it's important to keep in mind that the tax year we'll be using for this upcoming school year, so the upcoming 24-25 school year, we'll be looking at your 2022 taxes.
Gotcha. All righty. Another family member asked, do students need to complete a new FAFSA each semester?
So those students and families, they do not have to complete a new FAFSA semester. FAFSAs are going to be by the 8th year. So right now for our students who are entering this coming fall or returning this coming fall and for this next spring, they should be completed now. They're going to do the 24-25 FAFSA. It's going to be very key to make sure you're completing the appropriate 8th year. But to answer your question, no, students and families do not have to do it every semester. It's just an annual completion.
I know people feel relieved about that part. So speaking of financial aid, what types of financial aid can students receive?
So students can receive aid in the forms of scholarships, grants, loans, and federal work study. And these are available based on a student's need. And a student's need refers to the difference between a student's cost of attendance and the amount of money their family is expected to contribute towards those costs. And need is, of course, determined by the FAFSA. So if a student doesn't qualify for any need-based resources, that doesn't mean that they're not going to qualify for any kind of financial aid resources. For instance, scholarships are often awarded based on academic achievement or talent, like athletic scholarships, rather than need. And there are two other types of aid, earned aid, which is employment, so through our federal work study, and borrowed aid, which refers to student loans.
Gotcha. Great answers. So next up, we had a question about the different types of loans. I know this can be kind of confusing. So this parent asked, what is the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans?
So that's a great question. So we do have two different types of loans that are going to be in the student's name. And the first one is going to be unsubsidized loan. The unsubsidized loan is not a need-based loan. And that loan, essentially with an unsubsidized loan, that begins to accrue interest from the time period that that aid or that loan disperses to the student's account. And so when I say accrue, essentially the federal government, there's going to be a cost for you to have to borrow monies or a resource from the federal government to attain your education. And so that's going to be the interest, and that interest will build up while you're in school and even after you graduate for the unsubsidized loan. Now, for the subsidized loan, that's essentially the need-based loan. And so that if you have that offered to you and you do need loans, that's the one that we advise you to leverage or use first, because that loan is technically going to be interest-free loan. So essentially, while you're in school, that loan is not going to be assessed any kind of interest. But in the event that you graduate, or when you do graduate, or if you separate from the institution, that's the point in time when the interest begins to accrue or add up. And that interest is going to be the student's responsibility. So go real quick, highlight the unsubsidized loan begins to accrue interest from the very beginning. And subsidized loan, if it's offered to you, that's the one you should use first if you need loans, because it's going to be somewhat of a interest-free loan while you're in school.
It's very important to know the differences between those. I had a parent even just last week ask, how is financial aid applied to my students' balance and if they're living on campus with a meal plan?
Mhm. So any and all financial aid that a student receives goes towards a student's total balance. So tuition, meal plan, and housing.
Perfect. Good to know. We had another question that asked, do federal student loans require a credit check?
Federal student loans in the student name, for example, the unsubsidized loan and the subsidized loan do not require credit check for the student.
Another parent asked, as a parent, how do I apply for a PLUS loan and when do I have to repay it?
Sure. Great question.
Mhm.
So the first step is that the student needs to have a FAFSA on file. Even for the parent to apply for a loan, the student needs to have a FAFSA on file. And to apply for a PLUS loan, the parent is going to go to studentaid.gov, navigate to the loans and grants, choose Parent Plus, and the Parent Plus loan is actually based on the parent's credit to determine eligibility. And it's important to keep in mind that this credit check is good for 180 days. So the parent will want to plan accordingly when looking into PLUS loans as an option, meaning don't apply for it too far out. Now, if you're approved, your student school is going to let you know how much you've been approved for, and repayment for PLUS loans begins while your student is in school, unless you specifically request deferment, which is possible. Now, deferment is available as long as the student maintains their full-time half-time enrollment status, and the interest on a PLUS loan, like our unsubsidized PLUS loans, begins accruing interest from the day it's dispersed.
Alrighty. So this parent says that their student received a request for verification. They want to know what this is and then what they should submit for that.
So first, when students are selected for verification, it does not mean that students have done it or the parents have done anything incorrectly. The federal government or the Department of Education randomly selects various students and families for this process called verification. And essentially, it's the federal government essentially making sure that the data that's been provided through this process is accurate. So we don't want families to get think they've done something wrong or get intimidated by the process, because that's what we're here for, to help you actually navigate the process. Now, what you submit to verify your information can vary by student and by situation. So my recommendation, our recommendation is just make sure that you're checking your email on a regular basis, getting that information into the university sooner rather than later. So we go ahead and get everything confirmed and verified and then provide you with your award package. But don't get discouraged, don't get intimidated. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just the nature of the process.
That's really good information to know. And this next question that we got from a family, I can actually relate to. What if our financial situation changes after we submitted the FAFSA? Is there any recourse or any type of resources for that type of family?
Sure. So the best route is to contact your student's financial aid office and let them know about your financial situation changes. Now, in regards to changes in general on the FAFSA, those cannot be made or corrected until the school has the student's information. So just keep that in mind. Once you've submitted your FAFSA, there is kind of a waiting period before you can request changes or make them yourself.
Gotcha. Alrighty. So this parent asked, how can their student find grants and scholarships available to them if they do not qualify based on the financial need?
So finding grants that are just grants that don't have a financial need component is going to be kind of rare, because most of those are going to be offered from the state or federal government. An example of that's going to be the federal Pell Grant, and then for the state of Tennessee, that's going to be what's called the Tennessee Student Assistance Grant. So that's going to be rare to find a grant that does not have a need-based component. Now, if you look at scholarships, then scholarships is totally different. You can find scholarships all over the place. And most of our scholarships that we manage here at the university are through a process called Tiger Scholarship Manager. But most of you can find it there. We have about 725 plus scholarships in the system, and you have to be admitted and a student to actually apply for them. And then you can also look in your local community, because some organizations within the community actually provide scholarships. So scholarships are easy kind of find, not easy to find, but they're more available to find and apply for. Now, those grants that are not need-based, that's going to be really, really rare.
Thank you so much, Lofton. You kind of touched on the next question that families had submitted, which is, what is the Tiger Scholarship Manager? But I guess I'll reframe it a little bit. Can you talk about how a student would access the Tiger Scholarship Manager and what kind of features they can find within the Tiger Scholarship Manager, and maybe even like deadlines, if there are any, that they should know about?
Sure. So the Tiger Scholarship Manager is our portal, like Lofton said, and it houses all of our departmental and private scholarships. So an admitted student, and that's important, admitted student is going to log in, create a profile, and they're going to enter some basic academic information. So GPA, ACT score, create a profile, and then that is going to pull some recommended scholarships for that student based on that academic information. So they don't have to look through all 725 plus if they don't want to. They certainly can, but those recommendations are really going to help them narrow down what they might be eligible for. So all of these scholarships do need to be applied for individually. And just keep in mind that profile is just kind of the general profile application. It doesn't mean you've actually applied to any scholarships. And this portal is available from about mid-November to February 1st each year. And the cool thing about our portal is that it houses scholarships for not only freshmen, but also sophomores, juniors, seniors, transfers, and adult students. So anybody can check this portal to see if they're eligible for any of these scholarships. And the scholarships in this portal are also stackable with our academic scholarships.
Awesome. Great information. So that actually kind of answered our next question, which was, can current students apply for the university scholarships, or is it just for new students? So you kind of touched on that, like I said, so we'll just kind of skip over that one. And then the next question was, does my student need to reapply for their academic scholarship each year?
So students do not need to reapply for the academic scholarship each year, and the academic scholarships are essentially like your deans, your provost, your presidential, your trustee awards, your academic excellence awards. So no, they do not need to reapply for those. Essentially, those are going to be awarded for the year, and essentially you have to maintain the eligibility requirements to keep those. And those eligibility requirements can include service hours that have to be completed by the end of the spring, technically by June 1st. And then also a GPA component, depending on if you're a freshman or if you're a sophomore or greater. If you're a freshman, we expect for you to have a 2.75 at the end of your freshman year, because we know that transition from high school to college can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. So we don't want to award you a scholarship just for you to have difficulty maintain it. But then thereafter, we expect for you to have a 3.0 GPA. And then also you have to be full-time. So those scholarships require full-time enrollment. And full-time enrollment is going to be the equivalent of 12 credit hours or 12 credit hours or higher for each of the semesters, fall and spring. So no, students do not have to reapply. We'll check we'll make sure that you're meeting the eligibility requirements at the end of the spring.
So it's not just getting the scholarship, there are requirements to maintain those scholarships. So definitely make sure your student is aware of what those requirements are. Our next question is similar to this. A parent says their student received the Hope Scholarship and they want to know what are the requirements for renewing it. If it's not the same as what you said, what are those requirements? Are they specific to just the Hope?
Sure. So they are a little bit more specific. To maintain the Hope, a student must maintain at least full-time enrollment, so 12 credit hours. They must maintain a minimum GPA of 2.75 at the end of the semester in which they attempt 24 and 48 hours. So that equates roughly to the end of their freshman and sophomore year. And then the student must maintain a 3.0 at the end of their 72-hour semester mark, which is roughly their junior year and beyond.
Gotcha. Okay, so this parent wants a little bit of an elaboration on the federal work study. So they wanted to know, what is it? And then how is it applied to their students' tuition account?
So federal work study is a program that provides eligible students with essentially a job on campus or part-time employment, basically. And it's not going to apply directly to that student's tuition. So if you've been awarded work study, essentially, the student will see it in their aid package. So they might see a number like $2,500 for the academic year. So that number is not going to disperse at the time of when your aid is paying towards your tuition or your housing or your meal plan. Essentially, that's going to disperse once you find that job on campus, and it's going to pay out as a bi-weekly wage. So that's when you'll see that number adjust. So that's our way of trying to keep students, close to campus, provide opportunities for them on campus, and just, because most students are going to be successful if they stay around campus and work on campus.
That's a really good question and program. I've seen families that don't look deeply and they calculate how much aid they're getting, and they tend to accidentally calculate that work study number in there, and they get surprised at the end. So that's very good information to know for families. So we have a last question that a
Heather,
family.
let me add one thing if you don't
Okay,
mind.
yeah.
So essentially for the work study, students can find that information or opportunities on campus on our financial aid page, and just go to student employment, and that'll show you the different opportunities that are available for the respective semester that you're interested in.
Thank you for that additional information. I am a product of federal work study. I really enjoy my work study jobs, and I think they helped me get full-time employment as well, just because of the skills and the people that you meet and the networking that happens. So I encourage you, if you have that in your aid package, encourage your student to seek those employment opportunities out, because they really can help them, if anything, get connected with what's happening on campus. So that's really good. Our last question, can FAFSA funds cover the cost of my student study abroad trip? So students wanting to explore the world, and they want to know if the FAFSA funds can help them achieve that.
Sure. So in short, it's possible. It's going to depend on a few different things. One being the results of your FAFSA, so your need analysis, the type of program you're looking at, and the institution, so your study abroad institution itself. The U of M does have a lot of study abroad scholarships available for students who are eligible, and you're eligible by having a GPA of 2.75 and being a full-time student. So more information on this is located on our website as well.
All right, well, that is all the questions that we've gotten from families. I guess I'll leave it open um, to Lofton and Emily, if you all want to maybe leave families with some final thoughts or some tips that they should be aware of as we come to a close. And again, if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to put those in the chat, and we'll try to get to those. But just some final thoughts for the families that are tuning in.
So if you are a continuing student parent and you haven't started, continuing student parent and student, and you haven't completed the FAFSA process, go ahead and do that now. We strongly recommend you go ahead and do that now, because the end of semester will be here before you know it. If you're a continuing student, or not continuing student, if you're a first-time freshman parent or student, just make sure you're staying engaged and checking that email, that University of Memphis email, because that's going to be how the university is engaging you and reaching out to you. And a couple of key dates or key things to keep in mind, new student orientations, sign up is going to happen March 1st. And then if you're thinking about living on campus, the housing application is available now, February the 1st, and there is a housing application fee of, I believe, of $45. So go ahead and make sure you kind of raise your hand for that and complete that process. And the reason I'm highlighting that when we had a little bit of a wait list last year for our housing, and we want to make sure the students, can kind of avoid that wait list. So go ahead and complete that application process so that you don't end up on the wait list, basically. Emily, do you have anything?
Just kind of a general tip for communications. When you're creating your FSID, if you're a new student, incoming freshman, you want to use a personal email address, not one associated with your high school, or parents, guardians, not one associated with your work, because these situations change. You just want to make sure to get those emails and have the best way for the FAFSA to access you and for your college to get your emails to you as well.
Sorry, I was muted there. I was saying that that was some really good information. We appreciate those tips and those deadlines and reminders. They're going to be very helpful to families. So make sure you wrote those down, that you are taking notes, or that you come back and reference this recording so that you can be aware of your dates and deadlines that are going to affect your student. So we'll go ahead and share the financial aid and scholarships contact information. You can take a screenshot of this or however you want to capture the information. But if you have additional questions that weren't addressed here or more specific questions about your student, then you feel free to contact the financial aid and scholarship offices at the following contact information here. They have staff who are ready and available and willing to help you. There are financial aid counselors that can look at your information and help answer questions and help guide you through the process. You're not doing this alone. There's a whole host of us here that are ready to help and get you what you need for your student. So we would like to, we have a few announcements and I'll let Kay share those and then we'll move forward.
Awesome. Alrighty. So a few little housekeeping things from the parent and family services point of view. So Hugs from Home are still on sale. So you can show your support in a tangible and fun way by purchasing your student a Hugs from Home. So that'll be a UofM branded little container, and it'll be filled with some candy, snacks, and even a little note from you as well. I still remember Hugs from Home that I got from my parents when I was in my undergrad years. So these are just a great little touch and a little reminder, it's all going to be okay, just to keep pushing through the semester. And this year we actually have an option for you to bundle them with a finals care package as well. So the Hugs from Home are toward the middle of the semester is when they kind of go out, and then the finals care package will obviously be around finals time for a little pep, in their step before finals. So you can actually bundle those, and those are all on our website if you would like to purchase one of those.
Thank you. And then our next Tiger Talk topic, we're going to be talking about supporting your student, health, exercise, and nutrition. We'll have our campus partners with the Campus Recreation Center with us on February 20th, again at 1:00 p.m. Central. And of course, we'll put the recording on YouTube, premiering at 6 p.m. that same day, 6 p.m. Central. So feel free to catch that. We hope that you will be available to join us live, and if not, catch the recording. But this concludes our Tiger Talk. We would like to thank our special guests, Lofton and Emily, from the Financial Aid and Scholarship offices. And we just thank them for all the wonderful information that they've given us, so helpful for families. And we appreciate all the work that you all are doing, you and your staff, to help people really achieve their dreams and their goals of attending school. School is not free, but there are ways that you can fund your education. And so we thank them for being here and answering all of these questions. We thank you for attending, and we hope to see you on our next Tiger Talk. Have a great day.